Hi, my name is David Knight, and welcome to the Easter collection of those amazing Psalms. Psalm 104, a Psalm for Earth Day. Today is Earth Day, and my choice of Psalm for today is Psalm 104, which is a majestic creation praise song. I include it in this collection of Easter Psalms because the resurrection of Jesus is such an emphatic affirmation of God's creation. The material world of which we are a part displays in living color the goodness of God, as well as His power as creator, sustainer, and renewer of everything. I'll say more about Easter later, but first, Psalm 104. It is a poetic celebration and retelling of the Genesis creation story. It is the most panoramic portrait of God's creation in the entire Psalter. But it is not just description, it is exaltation and awe. O Lord my God, you are very great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty. He wraps himself in light as with a garment. He stretches out the heavens like a tent. Here we see God as master builder, laying the beams of the earth and sky, creating light, mountains, oceans, and rain, each of which deserves a video of its own. But today, I want to focus on what Psalm 104 says about rivers. He makes springs pour water into the ravines. It flows between the mountains. They give water to all the beasts of the field. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. The birds of the air nest by the waters. They sing among the branches. Rivers and streams make up less than 0.1% of the world's fresh water. But we can hardly imagine human life on Earth without them. The Amazon, the Nile, the Danube, the Yangtze, the Ganges, the St. Lawrence, the Rio Grande, and thousands of other rivers like them. Psalm 104 celebrates God's power and love as these vibrant mountain streams spill out of the ground and course down through rivers and streams, draining the highlands to irrigate the thirsty plains below. We humans depend on rivers for food, drinking water, and sanitation, which is why so many cities grow up along rivers. 10 of Asia's largest rivers are meltwater from the glaciers of the Himalayas and help feed over 2 billion people, a third of the earth. Vast ecosystems depend on these and other rivers. Grasses, flowers, shrubs, and trees grow in the water or along the shore. Insects swarm above them. Fish ply the currents, graze the stony riverbeds, and procreate in quiet places. I love the terse 2 lines in verse 12, which describe the river habitat. The birds of the air nest by the waters. They sing among the branches. The birds nest there because rivers are their lunch counter, as they feed on the grasses or fish or insects. And they are not alone. Snakes and frogs, turtles and alligators, and mammals large and small quench their thirst or satisfy their hunger from the river's bounty. All these interact in a dynamic balance of nature, where God is the ultimate provider, the source of abundance. When you give them their food, they gather it up. Notice the mutual activity of God's provision and each creature's involvement in gathering. You open your hand, and they are filled with good things. The psalm also recognizes the dark side of nature, where scarcity, predation, and death are also under the purview of God. When you hide your face, they are dismayed. When you take away their breath, they die and return to the dust. This is the reality for all creatures, animal and human. It's sadly evident in so many endangered species. The extinction of some is due to natural causes, but for far too many, the fault lies squarely with us and our refusal to restrain our greed and respect the needs of our fellow creatures. That's why we need to take Earth Day to heart. That's another reason I include this as an Easter psalm. Human failure and death are harsh realities in the natural world. Droughts, famines, and pandemics bring that home with brutal force, along with the degradation of nature. But death does not have the final word. When you send forth your Spirit, they are created. You renew the face of the ground. The renewal of grass and plants in the spring, eggs hatching, fish spawning, and the birthing of young, the regeneration of species by seeds germinating from the ground, the metamorphosis of caterpillars into moths and butterflies are all signs in nature of God's pattern of renewal. And Easter is the most extraordinary sign of all, a truly historic event in the real world and a signal that a new creation is being birthed in front of our eyes. This is the motivation that fuels followers of the risen Christ to engage actively in creation care. On this Earth Day, around the world, millions of people will be cleaning up beaches and streams, planting trees, and participating in climate change activism. Creation care Christians will do all of this alongside the most passionate environmentalists, doing unto those downstream as we would have those upstream do unto us, with the added motive to bring glory and joy to the Creator. To echo Psalm 104, verse 31, may the glory of the Lord endure forever. May the Lord rejoice in his works, praying that the beauty and fruitfulness of the earth will endure, and that God himself will find as much pleasure and joy in the work of his hands as we do. How fitting that the Bible begins its story with the river flowing from Eden, and it ends with a river flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. And flowing across all the intervening scenes of its story is the river of the water of life from our risen Lord Jesus Christ. The Lord is risen. He is risen indeed. Happy Easter and happy Earth Day. If you would like to read more of my reflections on Psalm 104 and other texts drawn from my book, Downstream from Eden, go to www.downstreamfromeden.com and download Hope for Planet Earth. Take care.